show to na YouTube. Na exist with na bit. Another show na YouTube. Personally. To at least on YouTube. Kate. Pasmanite Kate. Show Kate. Then appreciate Kate. Hello. Welcome everybody. Welcome to another day. This is Shola Arinde. Welcome. Stella Shire. Welcome. Rochelle White. Eka Lorietta. Welcome. Midegbenro Kendi Adeni, Princess Sunshine. What a name, Princess Sunshine. Wow. Simon Ajet, Olubile, YK, YK, Jacob Esson, Sami Haza. Welcome everyone. Ben Jesse. Temitope Emmanuel, Kobler, Helen Wellington, Sonny Ashe, welcome. Godson Kenneth, Zu I Guyu, Shidi Obinello, Mtofi. Well, nice to see all of you here. We are back together today with another session of conversation with an atheist. That's the way we have dubbed this, conversation with an atheist. So here we go. And Innocent Magaji is here, and he's going to take over the leadership, the anchor of the program. Hello, Innocent. Here you go.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Jesse. I'm happy to be on with us, with the family again today. I wish to apologize for us for the last time. We had some little bit disruption in the last meeting we had.
Yes.
So we want to clear some stuff. It wasn't anything big. Okay. If some of us that understand French, if you go back to listen to the record, you will hear what the person said. The person said something like, on se fait agresser verbalement par ton collègue. That is, the person was aggressed by a colleague of mine, so it has totally nothing to do with myself. It was nothing personal. It was just some misunderstanding. And few minutes I went on, I had to calm the situation down and everything. So I will skip some of the insignificant details, and I'll just share some of the lessons with us quickly before we go into the main program. It's about, for those of us who live abroad, we face a lot of challenges, especially when it comes to the color of your skin. So I happened recently to be teaching some group of children, some 3 children. The parents trusted me so much. I was teaching them English, phonetics, punctuation, and basically everything in English language. So they are French children, so I teach them French. I teach them English for them to learn. So I put English movies for them to watch. So I came into the house and the daughter asked me, just a 9-year-old daughter, she was, hey, Innocent, why are you black? She said. So I saw her as a very curious little girl. So I explained to her that I'm actually black because my body contains a certain level of chemical, which is called melanin, that every black person possesses. So the lesser melanin you have in your body, the lighter your skin. So people that suffer from albinism, not necessarily suffer, people that are albinos have lesser melanin in their body. So, and this melanin protects you from the radiation of the sun. If you keep me and a white person in the sun, the skin might get burnt, but my skin will not get burnt because I have melanin that protects me from the radiation of the sun. So the reason why you see a white person when they go to the beach and they start getting bronzed is because their body is being forced to produce melanin, you know. So I explained to the daughter like that. And she said, no, my mother didn't. My mother said this because you are from Africa. That's what she said. And I laughed. I said, yes, I am actually from Africa, but there are white people that have been living in Africa for almost 2 generations, but they are yet to turn into black. But my body is made of this chemical component, which is colonial, which all black people possess. So you should be proud of your skin. That's what I mean to say. So that specific situation was some of the lesson we learned from the last incident. So if you're facing any challenge, especially in Europe as a black person, whosoever you are, wherever you are, just know it, because I noticed this complex among black people a lot. Anytime you're being confronted, you have the right to tell the person that, yes, this is a complaint, this is why you are darker skin. So yes, that's the situation. So I'm happy to be here with us today again. And I receive a lot of messages. So many people are so sympathetic about the situation. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. It's the challenge of life we face every day. And thank you, DSA, for the understanding. I learned that I was being promised a Christian wife in my absence. So ladies, I'm single. If you want to put your application, start submitting now.
Because they thought maybe that was your atheist wife, they were thinking.
That's what many people were thinking. They thought I had a wife or some kind of wife or girlfriend that came and was like climbing on me. No, it wasn't the case. It wasn't something personal. It has to do with work and the people that were working in the house. But it was fixed already. There were so many experiences encounter with that specific lady that day. But I handled it in such a way that
it is a very rare incident.
Yes.
That somebody who is not having a right to you we just jump and shout like that, you know. Only that's why people thought it was a wife, because only normally a wife you would think has at least some moral right to be able to challenge any individual like that, or a mother. But that person was probably overstepping her boundary.
She did actually, but if you listen to what she said, actually from the past record I listened, she said, votre collègue nous avait agressé verbalement. That means that your colleague actually aggressed us verbally. So she was already Irish. She was shaking. All I did was to look her with the eyes of pity, because this is somebody that doesn't have control over their emotion. And they can just go on and explode, which is a very, very bad thing for any human being. I don't think you allow your emotion to take over you is a very charming thing. People have committed so many things that they come back to regret when they are being led by their emotions. So yes, we're safe. Nobody will come and challenge us today or interrupt the program. And I promise you that, because everything was fixed. So, and I reported to the person of the house. It was really, really sad what happened. So, but it's fixed already. It's done. So yes. And thank you for most messages that I received. A lot of people, I received also many, many questions and commentary from other people. So we'll just go straight to the point, because I know many people are eager to hear what you were saying. Actually, the last program was, I wanted to say, one of the best program, I think, one of the best interview we had, because that was, I noticed that the questions were flowing naturally. And you were trying to explain something really, really interesting that I would like to quote. I want every one of us to take note of that, because it's very important. To me, this thing I'm about to quote is the capstone of DSS messages. That's what makes him different and unique from all other preachers around the world. And from whosoever, any person that calls himself a pastor, please. So if you have a note, or you can go back to the last message we did and listen carefully to this thing. So before this meeting, I jotted everything down. I went back to replay the message, so I would like to read. So you said, I quote, you say, God created the planet Earth and put man in charge to manage it, to rule and to reign here. Most of these things we are talking about, the calamities, the wars, the diseases, the destruction that are happening on the earth, doesn't have anything to do with God at all. This is a man's decision. It is a man's failure. And that's why I will endeavor to answer your question, because this question came absolutely dot on. When I listen to the form of Christianity that Africans are preaching today, they preach as such that man has no responsibility on earth. Just pray. Go and beg God to come and help us to do something here. Go to church to ask God to come and fix it. Even they are ignorant. Even though they go to the church, They don't understand the God they believe in, and they don't understand the way He has created the earth to function. So religion is the one that is religion is the one that is making the atheist doubt God. Most of the prayers that we pray as Christians is actually the indication of our own ignorance in the way God operates. You are not supposed to be praying to God to come and fix the problem in the earth, but you are supposed to take responsibility because He gave you the mandate to. So to me, this is the capstone, I think, of your message. It's very, very important that Christians take note of all these things, because I don't really understand. We take responsibility because most people today, they strip you of your power, of your faculty of thinking. They ask you to be solely dependent on God. We see that actually most countries are developed not necessarily through prayers, but through hard work that people, the effort that they put inside. So I think this message always passed unnoticed to so many people. That's why I'm ringing it down into our ears, so that people will understand that this thing is real. This thing is very important. No preacher will say this to you. Anytime you come, they will only tell you pray. And for DSA to grant this interview is a very big step forward. No preacher will ever expose themselves to this form of scrutiny. They would rather prefer to sit down in their house, or probably not even grant an interview with a commoner like me. They will say, oh, I'm a big man, I have my reputation, you don't know nothing, I'm a knowledgeable man, I'm a man of God, I'm a powerful man. That's what they will say. They will sit down, they will deny any interview, because even if they are asked, they cannot be able to answer. We saw some of the interview that DSA is not just knowledgeable about the Word of God, but he's also knowledgeable about science, about history. I was talking to you the other day about G5, and you said you know it. I made mention of so many books that I read. You say you know it. So this actually leads to the first question that I have for you. So it's actually about G5. I stated in the past interview that, do you think that man has accomplished the will of God on earth? And if it's possible for man to, because God, the sole purpose that God created man is for man to actually bring heaven to the earth. I don't know if I'm wrong by saying that, because it's a replication of heaven here on earth, that man is trying to fulfill the objective of God. Then the question that one of the person asked was, if you think that man has really fulfilled the objective of God, which you said, I don't know, would you like to comment on that before we still go further?
Okay, first of all, I'm seeing some comments saying that today is Mother's Day. So I didn't know today is Mother's Day, because I knew it was a Women's Day a few days ago. Yeah, yes. in this part of the world, they celebrate Women's Day rather than Mother's Day. So we were celebrating Mother's Day, Women's Day. But since it's Mother's Day, I would like all the ladies to, to receive and accept my greetings, and both me and Innocent, both our greetings and congratulations to all the ladies in the house, all the mothers and the ladies in general, and the girls. We want to wish you a wonderful day, a wonderful celebration, and that you keep on being wonderful, keep on being beautiful, keep on being charming, keep on being interesting, keep on being loving to the men in your lives and to the children in your life, and keep on being the soft landing that you have always been to the men, because you are the soft landing for us. If not for that, this world will be in perpetual war. This world will be in perpetual war, But it's thanks to the ladies that men are not going to war all the time. So thank you for providing us with the soft side of life. Maybe you would like to say something on that, Innocent, before I continue to answer your question.
Yes, thank you so much. In addition to that, I want to use this opportunity to thank my mother specifically. Actually, I'm writing a book currently right now, and the title of the book is called I Don't Want to Go to Heaven. And I don't want to go to heaven. Why? Because I want to make the earth the heaven where I live. So I told my mother about the topic. She was really excited. She was like, but she taught me Christianity. She wakes me up in the middle of the night around 1 a.m., 2 a.m. to pray. And during hard times, she taught me principles. This is a woman I've lived with. I've never seen her engage into banner with any person. So anytime somebody looks for trouble, she will tell us peace, she will tell us forgiveness, she will tell us love. She preached the word of God. She taught us how to live uprightly, how to not be bad people, and wherever she taught us. So I want to use this opportunity to thank her so much, because whatever I am today, even though I lost my faith, but whatever I am today, the person that I am in my school, wherever I work, people testify that I'm a very nice person. I think all credit goes to her, because she taught me, she brought me up. This is somebody that she calls me every morning, 6 a.m., 5 a.m. She woke me up to pray. Even now she does that. She woke me up and say, hey, can you pray with the family? She will say, so when my sisters and brothers will be seated, she will call and say, okay, can you pray with us on the phone? I will pray. You know, and she questioned me about my adventure, how I become super curious about understanding the way the world is operated. So I want to thank her so much for giving it to me, for being the best mother I know in my life, for being the best one. So thank you so much for all the women, and wish you happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and all the women in our life.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, going back to your question now,
Yes.
I personally, I'm saying that I don't see the technological revolution that the world is undergoing in the 21st century and right now as a negative thing. I think rather there is a positive development. And personally, I'm looking for the full manifestation and development of the G5 technology. I'm looking forward to it. I remember what you said the last time, because you were thinking that there are some negative sides to it. But I'm focusing on the positive side to it. Because just the same way when the social media was started a few years ago, people were also, many people were condemning it because of the negative things they think will be negative effect of it. But now we see also that it stands to this same social media that I and you are seated here. But I personally, yes, I personally look forward to the 5G, because I think it will make life less stressful. It will make communication more effective, and it will make life more limited. And for example, what I see in that technology of G5 reminds me 5G technology. It reminds me of heaven, because in that 5G technology, you don't have to be so limited. Right now, we are limited by everything. But in the 5G technology, everything could be pre-recorded. So, for example, you could, I'm coming home, for example, now. I don't have to open the door of my house. It could be operated in such a way that the door will recognize me. I don't have to, because it's already, because my fingerprint and my biometrics have been recorded in the house. And my biometrics has been recorded for the car. So I don't need to use a car key, even though the car key might still be there. The same thing with my computer. If I want to eat, if I go to the restaurant, I want to eat, the restaurant, my computer will recommend for me the food to eat because of my biometrics. And the computer will inform, my biometrics will inform the computer. The computer will gauge what mood I am in right now. And because of the mood that I have right now, the computer will be able to suggest for me what best food it is for me to eat. If I'm struggling with weight loss or I'm trying to lose weight and I've stored it in the computer, you know, they will tell me what are the things I need to do, what food is good for me to lose weight or to add weight, or, you know, to be healthy. For example, I'm not happy right now. My mood is a bit lower. It will tell me that your mood is this, and because of that, these are the things you can do. So I see a lot of positives in that technology, in the 5G technology. Is it 5G or G5? 5G?
5G.
5G, in the 5G technology. And also, the fact that you, like what we are doing right now with you, this is also a new technology. There was a time it was not possible like this. It's a televising. But the televising that we are doing right now will be much more easier with the 5G. With 5G, you know, it will be so real as if we can actually include everybody that is. Right now we have over 100 people watching us. We can include all of them, and they will be seeing me and you, that we will be seeing all of them like we are seeing I and you, just two of us seeing each other now. And it will be much more, you know, everybody can contribute. It's much more live. It will be like all of us are sitting there in a hall. And instead of having church or auditorium in a hall or going to church in a building, you could actually go to church in your computer. And you see all church members present with you. So I see 5G as the future. And I look forward to it.
Okay,
I'm focusing on the positive.
Okay, there are so many negative aspects. Many people were afraid that it will be a weapon in the hand of the government because there is a neuronal abnormality that is involved in it. For instance, they can use it to alter human thinking. They can put voices in your head for you to be hearing some unnecessary stuff. They have used it as a weapon of war in the early days.
It's going to be regulated, just like people were saying that Facebook and social media could be used to be raping children. And some people are tempted to do it or date children and kidnap children. But, you know, there were regulations. So regulations could put things in order.
So what do you think? How does it fit the plan of God for humanity? Because this is something that God has made in man's disposition. Then man is now discovering some of these things. It's getting really complex. It's making things easier. I remember in those days, it wasn't even long ago, let's say 2005, 2004. I never had any handset, but I remember the way I communicate with my girlfriend during secondary school days. We write letters, love letters, and you have to look for an intermediate, someone that will transmit the letter, take it. That is just recently. But now, with the aid of technology, it's easier to just ping, you write your messages, and it's gone. So humans are really moving really fast, really fast. So how does it fit into the plan of God for humanity? Where do we see?
I see it as part of the plan of God for humanity, and I think we are still far from God's absolute plan for humanity. I think that since Earth is to be a replica and duplication of heaven, I look forward. I might not be here on the earth when this will happen. Maybe none of us will be here on the earth. But in heaven, you know, this 5G is coming close to what we are seeing, what we have in heaven. For example, I told you about the food, that if you get to a restaurant, even before you get to a restaurant, your computer, because of your biometrics, could already order the food for you and already know exactly what you need to do. You don't even need to ask for menu. It will already, you know, select for you what is best for you. Now, the same thing happens in heaven. If you go to heaven, for example, and you need to eat, you don't need to get hungry to eat. You know, you just need to think about what you need to eat. So in heaven, what happens is that anything that you think about materializes. And that is the stage that I believe that the world will get to before Jesus comes back. Well, if we could get to that extent and to that place, and 5G is very close to that, anything you think about will materialize. For example, I'm coming home and I can just think and, you know, put some information, you know, so that is where the world is moving towards. And okay, a lot of things, for example, in heaven, I don't need to take a plane to go to America from here or to go to France. In heaven, I just need to think about where I'm in Ukraine now. I only need to think about France, that I want to be there, and I'm there right beside you. That is heaven for you. In heaven, you know, there is no, in heaven, the colors are perfect. And, you know, and there is no limitation to the perception of color by human capacity. Right now, the human body of the man is not in the position to process all colors. And all the color that we are seeing right now are dull compared to the colors in heaven. But the 5G will also bring that out and perfect it. In heaven, you know, like right now, we are seeing that trees are just having leaves, but we don't hear their communication. But in heaven, you'll be able to hear what the message the trees are passing across, or the grass and the air. We hear the breeze and the wind blowing, but they're actually talking. But we cannot hear it now because we are not positioned to that. But in heaven, you'll be able to hear this. Enjoy the music of the breath and the breeze and the wind, and so many things are. But for me, the sign for me that Earth is getting close to heaven is when we'll be able to teleport. We're able to teleport ourselves and teleport the people and teleport other people. If we will be able to do that, that will be a sign for me that yes, man has really developed. Right now, for me, man is still in the process. We are still in the elementary level of development. But for those people who are interested in knowing, give me that Fear of Death, the black book, the big book. Bashar. So for those people who want to know more about heaven that I'm talking about, so for those people who want to know what I'm talking about heaven, it is in this book. I wrote more deliberately and more elaborately in this book about heaven, what to expect in heaven. So look at the book. You can get it on Amazon or on Kindle, or you could order it from my office, dssbooks@gmail.com, or from my blog, sundayadelajablog.com/books, How to Overcome the Fear of Death. So by the time you understand the description of heaven and the way heaven is, you will never fear death anymore. You will know exactly what to expect. And I'm so close to God, I thank God that God has given me the honor and the privilege and the grace to be able to know exactly what to expect in heaven and how heaven will look like and what every part of heaven, not every part of it, but some part of heaven is. But even the much that I've written about heaven here is enough to help everybody want never to be afraid of death anymore, but to rather want to go to heaven as fast as possible. So the description of heaven that I just gave now is just a little compared to the description of heaven that is in this book. It's a big book, you see. It's a big book. So you need to take your time and enjoy it. Most people who have read this book, they said they don't want it to finish. And after they finish reading it, they said they feel like going to heaven immediately right now. So this book will really set you free from fear of death and rather want you to want to go to heaven as fast as possible. How to overcome the fear of death is the name.
Wow. Okay. I think you should go get the book because I see so many Christians today. They claim that they are Christian, but they are afraid of death. Even though they know that they will be going to heaven, they pray against death, especially those Jews. They will say you shall not die, that no death shall not come close to your family. Geo is afraid of death. Why? If you know they are going to heaven, why won't you just hurry up and go? It's a very cool place. There's no pain, no death, nothing. Just go. But no, he wants to enjoy the world. He wants to enjoy the pleasure. Promising people death. Why do you think they preach like that to the people?
Why do they do what?
Preach like that to the people. Why do they preach like instead of course, as a Christian, if you die, of course you'll be going to heaven, but why would they be telling people your family, you shall not lose your family, you shall not?
Oh, okay. It's because they are living by instinct. Most of those pastors are living by instinct, which means that they don't really think about what they're doing. They only repeat some crammed words and sentences, and it's just a biomasses lifestyle. They are living like biomasses. They are living in autopilot. So they know that naturally the human tendency is that people don't want to die. They don't want to suffer loss. So they don't even consider that. They don't weigh what they say by their value system. their belief system is not in conjunction with whatever they are saying or their lifestyle. So they profess that they believe in some things, but they don't really critically examine what they believe in and then process it so that they will live in accordance to what they believe. They live in accordance to everybody's expectation daily, and like the animalistic, instinctive reactions to life, rather than basing their life on the principles and value system that they believe in. So yeah, that's just because they don't use their mind. Most people don't think, unfortunately.
Okay. In the program that you did yesterday, late, there was somebody, a caller that called, very interesting thing he kept saying. He tried to give example, he tried to differentiate between the difference between the word need and wanting something. He talked about the grasses need the soil to be able to live on. He gave so many examples like that, which is really, really interesting to me. So I thought about it, and I watch life every day, and I saw the process of life as a form of cycle. I see that you have a seed, a grain of maize, which is solid, but you plant it on the ground, it goes through a process of dying, first of all, dying, decaying, and regenerating. So we might just continue and dismiss and say, okay, probably because a plant doesn't have a life, a soul, therefore, they don't go anywhere. Then I also discovered that in the studies that I took on, I discovered that these plants, trees, they have emotions, they think, they act. There is this specific plant, an instance of something that happened in South Africa, of a specific, they were grazing. All of a sudden in the reserve, they discovered that some group of antelopes, just huge numbers of antelopes, just died, quantity of them. And the veterinaries took on an autopsy to discover, they thought it was a poison that killed them. So, but no, they actually discovered that the plant secretes a chemical. I've forgotten the name. I think I've forgotten the name of the chemical that the plant secretes, because the antelope were grazing too much on the plant, so that the plant was going to just vanish like that. So they secrete that chemical, and the thing reduced the numbers of the antelope because they wanted to graze on it. So, and then also there is this other plant that once you see them in the evening, once the sun is gone, they close their leaves. And or any human being, if you just come close to them, or any animal, if you just touch them, the leaves will just close quickly. So that piques my curiosity. It tries to make me understand how these things function. It means that, do they have feelings? Do they think? Do they try to process? Do they have brain, plants? So many things that are involved. So I think about how they function, this plant, and I ask myself, now human beings have souls. When they die, where do you think they go to? Do you think there is a place currently that is called heaven? There is a place currently that is called hell? That humans that are dying every day, there are thousands of humans that have died today with no true accidents. Some of them in the hospital, sick, they died. Do you think there's a place currently fixed somewhere that they go directly that is called heaven? And there's a place that is called hell that they go right now? Is it something that is coming in existence, or where do their soul go to? Or would they wait to the day of the judgment before they go to this place designated for them?
Okay, first of all, somebody was asking that people, the pastors and the Jews are praying against death because they don't want to die untimely. They don't want to die early death. That's why they are praying against death. But that even so the person is asking, does DSC want to die untimely death? Do I want to die untimely death? Well, I think my own perception about this whole thing might be different from all those talk of untimely death. I don't care about it. It's not something that I bother about too much. What I'm more concerned about is about what I do when I'm alive. Is about maximizing life. So personally, I want to die as early as possible. I've been looking for death since 40 years old. I believe that if you don't make a living before 40, then you are risking your life. I believe that anybody that really wants to live on earth should try to plan his life in such a way that by 40 he should be ready to die. So that's the way I plan out my life. I plan out my life so that I'll be ready to die at 40. Anybody who knows me or who has been listening intensively to me knows that I've been talking about dying since 40. And I've said every other thing that comes after 40 is a bonus. So, and if you are not sure, go and look for my recordings, for my old messages. You will see, and especially when I celebrated my 40th birthday, you will see that I was always saying it, that I'm ready to die now at 40. And but anything that comes after 40 is a bonus. So for me, to live is a sacrifice, not to die. So I'm more concerned about living and what I'm doing when I'm alive rather than dying. Dying for me is a gain. Dying for me is a reward. Dying for me is my wish. I'm waiting for death every day. I'm dreaming of death every day. I'm looking for death every day. But so every day that God doesn't allow me to die is a sacrifice for me. It means that I'm sacrificing going to get my reward, and instead of that, I'm staying back here to minister to other people. So by living, I'm sacrificing, and my children know this. My wife knows this, and we have spoken about it many times, that we should be ready to die at any time. So death for me is not a tragedy at all. That's why I wrote that book. To overcome the fear of death, and rather to look forward to death. I think everybody should be looking forward to death. Everybody should be, death should be one of the greatest desires of everybody. If you understand life, and you understand the meaning of life, death should be something that you should be looking forward to. Because if you don't look forward to death, then you are not preparing to death. And if you don't prepare to death, then you never live a quality life. The best way for you to live a quality life is for you to look forward to death. Because you are looking forward to death, so you are maximizing life. That's the way I look at life. I look at death.
Okay, briefly in addition to that, to most Christians, if you don't know, Jesus Christ died at age 33. So most of us, our grandfathers, lived for a very long time, 1980s. Nobody knew about them. Jesus died at age 33, but he is the most popular person today in the face of the planet Earth. There are so many celebrities, Malcolm X, for instance. Most of them died at a very young age. Some of them, Minister Louis Farrakhan, which was one of the activists that is working with the Malcolm X and the Martin Luther King, most of you probably don't know about him. He's still alive today. He lives longer than them, but nobody hear about him, But these are young individuals who live a very short life. They were shot with guns. They died. What matters, the memory that they left, their lifestyle. They died at a very young age. Malcolm X is one of the idols, one of the person I admire a lot, but he died very young. But what lives long is his sacrifice. So even for Christians, your idol, Jesus Christ, who we see that he was born from age 12. Nobody knew what happened. There was no record of from his life from age 12 to 30. So until we get to discover that he lived a very short life and then he died eventually, but we know him very much today. So do not aspire to live longer, but aspire to live a meaningful life, a life that will never be forgotten. Today, that's what I think. So what do you think? You say, okay, maybe we'll skip that question. We're still talking about death now, but I want you to comment on this. What happened? Why is there no record of Jesus Christ's life between the age 12 and 30? Why is it that there was no record about that completely in the Bible? Nobody knew where he went. We first of all heard that he was being pursued by Herod, which was killing children. He went to Egypt to learn some lessons there in some of the theological schools. His family had to run away from him, from the persecution. So, and then he went through some processes. There were little record, and then from that age, from 12 upward, there's no record, 15, 20, no record of his life at all, nowhere in the Bible. We don't know if the scrolls were lost. It was intentionally never recorded. I don't know, what do you think? There is that vacuum in his lifestyle. Because it's actually been written in the Bible that if the deeds of Jesus Christ were recorded, there would be no ink, no place to contain it. So I want to really understand what happened. Why is that gap? Why is there vacuum in his lifestyle? Why are those things not recorded for humanity?
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say that you've already asked this question, the first or second program, yes. And yes, and I commented on it a little bit. But before I go to the question, I would like to go back to the question of death, because someone is writing a comment here. And Unwana Emaga says, hello DSA, your talk today on heaven and the fear of death appears contradictory to your talk on heaven, which I heard yesterday from you during the Love Series program yesterday night. You said that we are already in heaven, so people shouldn't be looking forward to going to heaven, as most pastors preach. Please correct me if I understood wrongly. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Onwana, and I thank God that you are so wise. You are a wise lady, and because of your wisdom, you are able to put in the benefit of the doubt. That correct me if I'm wrong, but don't be in a hurry to challenge Pastor Sunday, and don't be in a hurry to say that Pastor Sunday is contradicting himself, because I'm a man that is practicing what I call how to be in the here and now. I'm always in charge. I'm always aware of what I'm doing. I'm not sleeping, and I don't contradict. It could appear like that to you, but that's because you are not seeing the full picture. So what we are talking about yesterday is that what I was talking about during the Love Series is that pastors are telling people who are born again, who are already born again, or who are saved, that they should, their whole life be striving to make heaven. You know, and I'm saying born again means you're already in heaven. But that is in the spirit, you know. Your spirit man is already in heaven. That's what it means to be born again. You have been transferred from, you know, the kingdom of darkness to the kingdom of light. But that is all in the spirit realm. That is not talking about body. Bodily speaking, we are still here. You are not transferred in your body. We are talking about spiritual realities here. So the kingdom of God is in you. It means the kingdom of God is a spirit. It's in my spirit. It's in me. But I'm not seeing it physically. But when we are talking about death, as in the book I showed you, we are not talking about spiritual death. We are talking about physical death. Concerning this book is talking about death. And it's talking about heaven in the sense of after physical death. So the fact that that's exactly the reason why I'm saying that anybody that understands life, just for you to know that there is no contradictory, that anybody that understands life and understands what I understand about life, you will never be afraid of death, because I am already in heaven. I don't need to die to go to heaven. You know, I'm already in heaven in my spirit mind. So when I die, I get another body, not a spirit body that, you know, I live in which is a spirit body that enables me to live in the spirit reality of heaven, because heaven itself is a spirit reality, and you need to condition your body. You need another body that is conditioned to live under the spirit heaven. So that's why we need another body when we die. And if you have listened to people who have had clinical death, they will tell you that they are on top, and it's like they are on top of the house or the room, but they are seeing their body downstairs, and they will tell you that their bodies remains the same. They remain the same. Their personality remains, but their body has been swifted. Their body is changed. They are having a superior body now. A superior body that is allowing them to see this perishable body. It's the same body. The only difference is that this physical body we have is meant only for life on earth. Is meant only for survival in a place where you have matter and space. But once you die, you remain. Your real essence, your spirit man remains. And your spirit man, which is already in heaven, only enters immediately into, you know, you don't even need to enter. Because once you die, your spirit man, who is a man, comes out of you and remains like this. Spirit man remains full-fledged man, fully grown-up man like you are, but without all the weaknesses of the flesh. So the weaknesses of the flesh, like sickness, disappear. The weaknesses, your body that was cut off, all those things disappear. You are whole again, and you have, because in your real person, your spirit man doesn't age. So everybody will have the same age, like the age of 33, approximately. So you will be of the same age, much more stronger, much more alert, without any physical weakness whatsoever. So you have just come out of the inhibition that you have. So, and the inhibition is the body. That's why I'm saying that if you understand life and how life is made, you will never be afraid of death. Because death is a liberation. Death is getting out of prison. The body is like a prison to the spirit. So once the body, that prison door is open, you are alive. You are fully alive, and you don't need to be. So what I was talking about yesterday is that you don't need to be praying to make heaven once your spirit man is already in heaven. But what we are talking about now is when your spirit man is dead, when you are separated from your spirit man, that's what I'm talking about. You go to heaven now, full-fledged, not being on the earth. So that body you need, or that other body that you have when you die, that body is what allows you in the spirit realm, in heaven, you don't need to take a plane to go to America. You just need to think about it, because there is no limitation of the flesh. And the purpose of the flesh is to limit you and to make you to be able to operate under the laws of gravity. And the reason why you have that flesh is because without that flesh, you will be floating here. You will not be able to land. You will not be able to settle, because there is a law here that says that you can only operate here to build a house. You need space and you need matter. So for you to operate with matter, that's why you needed the body, and that's why the body is given to you. For you to be able to operate in space, that's why you needed the body. The body is given to you. And the only reason and the only aspect where eyes, ears, feelings, and all the five senses of the body, the reason why you need them is for matter and space. So these things are not because of heaven. Heaven is, you come from heaven. You are already prepared for heaven. But your spirit man, which was in heaven before it came here, was reduced and limited and pulled into this hindrance, or into this into this body, which is like into this prison, into this that is limiting you. And there is a reason for that limitation. It's not because of wickedness. It's for you to be able to fulfill purpose here. It's for you to be able to operate with matter and space and be able to create here. And because this place is a realm of matter and space, you need to bring the reality of heaven here. You need the block. You need the building blocks. That's why you needed the body here, to be able to make you duplicate heaven on earth here. Because, under the condition which the earth functions. And the condition which the earth functions in is that you need a matter and you need space. But when it comes to heaven, that condition is not operational. You have another reality, a superior reality there. For example, Innocent started talking today about seed, about a seed that is planted. And when that seed is planted, it dies, and then it brings forth a tree. And then the tree, and he was talking, then it went off. But what he was actually trying to talk about in philosophy is called dialectics, especially when you are talking about materialism philosophy, and which the atheists actually believe in. So dialectics Yes, dialectics is yes. Dialectics is a progression of some sort that there is a law that everything evolves, and that is how they came about the theory of evolution. That it is dialectical. It is reasonable that something goes from a worse state to a better state. Now, and I was talking, when I was in the university, I used to argue with my atheist professor that, okay, if everything goes from a worse condition to a better condition, why don't you think that this dialectics also work for the man? Okay, man now is having, I said this dialectics is in the Bible. I see dialectics in the Bible because the Bible says that the man, when he dies, is having a mortal body, which is a weak body, a mortal body, which is a deadly body, mortal body, deadly body, but that when this mortal body is buried, that it will bring forth an immortal body. So we are going from worse condition to a better condition, just like the seed, which is limited, which is very small. But when you put it on the ground, it becomes a big tree. That is how our life becomes. And then that big tree becomes not one seed, it brings forth millions of seeds because of dialectics. The same with man. The body and the life that we have right now is so much inferior. So much that when the body dies, this mortal body, is a possibility for you that gives room for you to have a better life. Just like that seed becomes a tree, that is exactly what happens in the spirit realm. When you loosen your physical body, you're real. So death is an opportunity for manifestation of a better you and a better life, a greater life. Just like a seed gives birth to, it said if a seed falls to the ground and until it dies, if it doesn't die, it will not produce greater seed. It will not produce seed. The same with man. The life of a man here, or the body, is like that seed. Until it dies, it doesn't give room to a superior life. Just like the seed gives birth to a superior life of a tree, and then more lives of seeds. The same thing with us that happens when we fall and when we die. It's an opportunity. Why does a seed need to die? A seed needs to die to set itself free from the body. The body of the seed is what is limiting the life of the seed. So the body of the seed, the reason why it needs to be planted is to give room for that seed to be released, for the life of in the seed to come out. So the death of that seed, or the burying of the seed, allows the seed to get rid of the mortal body. So when you sow a seed, the reason why it needs to be on that ground is for it to be rotting. And the rottenness of that seed is not the rottenness of the life of the seed. It is the rottenness of the body of the seed, so that the body the life that is inside the body of that seed could be independent, so that the body will give way, and it will give way and become soil. And but it's becoming soil, we say it's dead. But the death of the seed, it is the birth and the birthing forth of the real life that is in that seed. Each one of us are like that. The death of an individual, when you die, is an opportunity for you for greater manifestation. It is a dialectic. It is a dialectical question. It is a question of evolution. So there is evolution in God. There is evolution in the Bible. There is evolution in nature. I don't totally deny evolution. I don't totally deny the dialectics, but I know that God has put the principles of evolution in nature. So the atheists are not totally wrong, but they just don't know, they don't have all the information in their heads. But because I'm a friend of God, and because I have the word of God, and I can see the point of view of the atheists, where they are talking about evolution, but I can also see that evolution is in the Bible, and but they are only seeing and judging by the reality that they see now. But I am seeing from the reality that they don't see, that was there before the reality occurs, and by the reality that is supposed to come after this reality that they see is no more here. So I'm seeing a holistic picture of why life and what is the essence of life, and how life is supposed to operate, and what is the place of evolution in it, and that evolution itself, God is not denying evolution. But unfortunately, a lot of Christians, when they hear about evolution, they just totally deny evolution, put it down, and think this is something against Christianity. But they don't know that what is against Christianity is the ignorance of the atheists. They don't know where the evolution started. They don't understand the beginning of evolution. That is their challenge. But the fact that there is evolution in nature is a reality. There is a place for evolution in nature. And life itself is constantly evolving. And that is an example that I just gave with the seed. So just the same way, that seed needs liberty. That seed needs liberation. That seed needs to be delivered from the body. That is for the life to blossom. And it is only at the death of the body of the seed that the life, the energy, the life force in the seed comes forth, and we see a tree, like an apple tree, banana tree. And the tree comes forth and brings forth many, many fruits. That is how it is with us. Our real life is ahead of us. And our real life will never come to fruition until there is a death to this limiting factor, which is our body. So our physical death, therefore, is one of our greatest blessings that we could ever look forward to. That's what I am writing about in this book. And if you have not yet read this book, you have lost a lot. And you have just lost a lot if you have not read this book. And that's what this book is about. But by the time you understand the process of life and death and the reality of heaven, you will never, ever again fear death. You will be looking forward to death. You will desire death. You will pray for death. But not because you want to escape, but because you want to enjoy your fullness. You want to come to fullness of your manifestation.
Thank you so much. That's a powerful explanation. If I understand clearly, I want to see the clear picture. I want to be able to employ certain words. I don't know how plausible those words might appear to be. That the atheist, actually, an atheist who believes the evolutional theory, the theory of evolution, the atheist perspective is the radical materialism, in the sense that they believe that humans actually evolved from plant, certain organisms, plant then to ape, from ape to humanity, to humans where we are right now. And that if we go on, and they believe that this is the last stage of evolution, which humans are now, because we have already attained certain form of intelligence. But if I understand clearly, I don't know if your own perspective of evolution is what I describe as transhumanism, because we are not saying humans evolved in the sense of evolving from ape to this social organisms to the other organisms, but you are saying rather that humans, as we are right now, if we die, we transcend flesh, we transcend our body. Am I correct with that?
Come again, please.
Okay.
I was reading the comments, so I was reading the comments.
I describe the atheist perspective of evolution as what is known as radical materialism, in the sense that humans evolve from another organisms. For instance, they talk about ape, that ape evolved to give human. Because you made a statement that you believe in evolution. So I want to understand your own perspective of evolution and that of an atheist, because the atheist theory of evolution is what I describe as radical materialism. They believe that organisms from one to transform to become another thing. So I describe your own theory of evolution as something that is called transhumanism, which means as humans as we are right now, we die, we lose this flesh, and it comes to something better. I don't know if I'm getting you correctly. So
No.
Okay.
That is not my theory of evolution. My theory of evolution is this. I agree with the Big Bang theory. I agree with the Big Bang.
Okay, interesting.
But only partly.
Okay.
No, you said that, they say we come from ape. That was old philosophy, old theory of evolution.
That's radical materialism.
Yeah, that is no more, it's not confirmed. It's not, it's just, explanatory of the whole idea itself. But if you talk to people, scientists will tell you that we come from small matter. From matter. Now, But later on, right now, in the past 20 years, we have discovered that matter is not the smallest object. You know, that there are other objects that are smaller than matter, like proton. I mean, I have a whole list of, I forgot all those now. Proton and all kind of, you know, that are smaller. So when you break matter into pieces, you still get other objects. You know, what that means is that any object you find, any object you make, they come from matter. That's what you will hear scientists talk about. Element, yeah. That's like the smallest element. But it's not, but what they have now discovered before science, that before today's science, it was the smallest matter element. That was the smallest thing that exists in matter, the small. But right now, what they have discovered is that even when you break the matter into pieces, you will discover that there are many smaller things. And nobody can, atom, yes, atom, but even smaller than atom, there are things that are still smaller than atom. So the idea now is, so what are when will it stop? When will we keep on discovering? Because the more science we have, the more we discover that there are more discoveries coming. So when will it then, what is the smallest matter? And that's why I agree, because they will tell you that it is out of the Big Bang, and then they found out that it is atom, and then it is this and that. But now they discover that, just a minute, I'm going to try to look into my notes and see some of the things that, you know, I have the languages and the terminology, but yeah, that's it. Oh, Mrs. Abiola has helped me. I've thought about this before. Proton, neutron, electron. Yes, that's what I was looking for. Proton, neutron, electron. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. You got it, Mrs. Abiola.
In the house.
Yes. So that is what they now discovered, that before, 100 years ago, no scientists, even people like Einstein or all that, they didn't go to the level of proton, neutron, electron. So now we have discovered that there is still proton, there is electron, there is neutron. So when it's getting smaller, so all these things. So where is the smallest particle? What is the smallest particle now? So but I know what is the smallest particle because it is something is still smaller than proton. And that thing that they are trying to get to, the smallest particle that they said is where is the origin of life. The origin of life is that smallest particle. I said they will keep on breaking it until then what they have come out, the decision right now is that after that proton, there was nothing. I said exactly, there is nothing. Everything comes from nothing. For me, that is my own evolution theory. Everything comes from nothing. And that's exactly what the Bible says. Everything comes from nothing. In the beginning, there was nothing. In the beginning, everything was void and black. In the beginning, God. So that nothing that they are looking for is called spirit. But it's becoming smaller and smaller. Nucleus. It's okay. I think nucleus, that nucleus they are looking for, or you know, is called spirit. But they will never be able to find spirit they will never be able to put spirit in the laboratory. And you will never be able to dissect spirit. It is another dimension. And that is the dimension where we all come from. So, but the problem of science is that they don't know. There's no mechanism to measure spirit. There is no mechanism to assess spirit or to break down spirit. The limitation and the biggest problem of science today is that they are only operating on visible things, matter. They only use matter. They only use tangible things, something that could be seen either physically or through science or through laboratory. So the thing they have gotten to now is those nucleus and proton and neutron and all those things. Those are the things they have gotten to. And that is, they must see something. They must be able to work with something. But they are not giving themselves a benefit of a doubt. And that is where the dogmatism of science is the one that is also limiting science. We shouldn't limit everything to what is observable. We shouldn't limit everything to protons and neutrons and matter to matter. So if you say matter came from something, and you say you cannot find the end of it, and the smallest you have found now is protons and neutrons, and so why can't you imagine that there is something besides that? They are trying to go into it now, but not all science. The only people who are trying to give that consideration now are the people who believe in UFO. Is it UFO you call it? NLO?
UFO.
UFO. The people who believe in UFO, they now started saying that there is something that is another life somewhere that is greater than us, another civilization that is superior to our own, and things like that. So that is already a move in the right direction. That is already a move in the right direction. At least somebody is beginning to consider that there is something behind and beside the matter, the physical reality that we are all dealing with. We are all making a big deal of physical reality. And we are using that to decide and to judge what we understand and what we don't understand. We are just using only the physical matter to decide what is possible and what is not possible. But the ones who are now saying, no, since we have discovered that UFO is existing and they produce things that are much more superior to us, so there is something that is much more superior to us. So let's find a way of going out of matter, out of this physical reality that we see, that we know, and begin to now examine and try to see where maybe that will give us more explanation about life and about who we are. So, but when we are just limiting ourselves to that laboratory and say that only matter matters, that is the only thing we know, and that's the only thing we are going to work with, we forever condemn ourselves to a life of no solution. But the way they will get solution is not even by consulting UFO. The way they will get solution is by them recognizing that there is a spirit reality. And that spirit reality is where we all come from. So God is spirit, and that all these neutrons and all these things that we are talking about, that all the things that they said they cannot see, it takes a high level of microscopic engine to discover protons and neutrons. Even atoms, not all something will be able to discover them. They are invisible. To an ordinary human being, these protons and neutrons and things, they are just, they are spirit. But because of superior science development, we could discover them through microscopy something. But don't you know that, that means also that in that spirit realm, there is a spirit realm that microscope will never be able to discover. And it is that spirit realm that we need to go and consult with, which is God of spirit. Our God is a spirit. And that is where we could get answers as to where we are from, who we are, and what is waiting for us.
Okay, I would like you to address this question, please. It's very important because almost 6 people asked the same question. The previous question I asked about where our soul, people who die, where their soul reside, are they in heaven currently or they in earth right now? I think a lot of people, they really want to have an answer to that. Or are we going to wait till the day of judgment in the Bible?
No, that's what I said. It's all written in this book. Death, I explained heaven, death, and all that here. So what happens is this. What happens is this. When somebody dies, let's say the person is a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ. Because he's a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ, he might be religious and he might not be religious. He might go to church, he might not go to church. He might not even recognize the name Jesus Christ. But in his own way, he has accepted Christ as either through the truth that he embraced, or through love, or through other manifestation of Christ that he has accepted. But for us, we will say he has accepted Christ. So once he does that, there is a regeneration that has taken place in his spirit. And that regeneration is making him a citizen of heaven already while he's still on earth. So when he now dies, even though he's still on earth, why he was already a citizen of heaven, he's already in heaven. When he was still on earth, his spirit is already in heaven. So what happens when he dies? Heaven sends representatives for him. One of the representatives is what we call the guiding angel. Everybody has a guiding angel. So the guiding angel is with you, that is with you, you know, when you don't see him, but he will be there for you. But besides the guiding angel, there will be one or two angels that will be delegated from heaven. Just like an ambassador. When an ambassador or when the president or somebody, an ambassador travels somewhere, there will be people on the ground waiting for him. So you too, when you die, because you are not a citizen of the earth, you only came to the earth for a mission. So when you die, the authority of your motherland, of heaven, the heaven is your motherland now because you are a citizen of heaven. So heaven will send representatives. One or two other representatives, we call them angels. These angels will come down to collect you and welcome you back home. That is why when people die, they say they die clinical death, you always see them or hear them talk about a light that they see. Or they talk about a tunnel that they go through. Now, so if those people who are already citizens of heaven here, they don't need to go through the tunnel. They don't need to go through the tunnel, but they could see the light, but they don't need to go through the tunnel. So, because angels come and transport them home. But now, the ones who were never made it to be regenerated while they were here on earth, they get transported as well. But they also get transported by their own authority, by the authority of the land or of the nation, of the homeland that they worshipped or whom they believed. So every unbeliever that denied Jesus or that rejected Jesus is actually agreeing with the deception that God is not real or Jesus is not real. By doing so, he is depending on himself. He's either having faith in himself, and by you having faith on yourself, it means you put hope for your own salvation on you. When you now die, you are no more there. What you will discover is that there is something that is behind egocentrism. And the force that is behind egocentrism is called Satan. So Satan will come and send representatives as well for any individual that has not submitted himself to the Lordship of Jesus. So angels will also come. We call them spirits or demons. Demons will come to also collect the person who is an unbeliever, but it will collect them and take them to a temporary hell. There is hell, which is a temporary place, and I will explain to you soon why it's temporary. And also there is heaven. So the people who die in the Lord or who believed in Jesus, they are accompanied to heaven. First of all, they are accompanied to heaven for two things. They are accompanied to heaven to meet Jesus and to appreciate that, the reality of what they had believed here. They are coming back home. And then their relatives and other people that they had known on earth will be there to meet with them as well. So that is heaven. But that heaven also, for men, it is temporal. So there is temporary, or there is heaven and hell. So both of them are temporal. So what is permanent? Now, what will now happen is that after the lease season, or the time of lease that is given to the earth is expired, which might be for, and we don't know how long it's still going to be. After that is expired, then there will be a new earth and there will be a new heaven. So that new earth and a new heaven is where those people who have been redeemed, people like us who are living in the spirit world, in the spirit heaven, which is a spiritual reality without matter and material things. So all these people, they are living in the new body, superior body that I spoke about, a spirit body, which is a spiritual body in heaven. They will now come back with Jesus in what we call the second coming. Even Muslims admit that Jesus is the one that will come, the second coming, to be able to will come and get all the people. So they will now come with Jesus for the second coming, and that is when all the people who had died and were buried, they will resurrect. Not they will resurrect, not their spirit is resurrecting, but what they mean by resurrection is the resurrection of bodies like they used to have on earth, but this time for a body, because there is a difference between the body they are having in heaven and the body that they need to operate on the earth. The body right now that they have in heaven is a spirit body. But since the earth, there's going to be a new earth, the earth will still be under the same law of space and matter. And because of that space and matter law, they will still need a body that is conditioned to function here on earth just like we are functioning now. So it is then they will have a new body that will not suffer pain, but physical body like this that will not die. Then they will be able to live in a new heaven and a new earth, which is going to be permanent, forever. So but where people are right now, before that time happens, is what we call heaven and hell, and they are temporal. For men, they are temporal.
Sounds like the Roman Catholic theory of purgatory.
No, not purgatory. No. They're totally different. Even the Catholics believe in this heaven and hell as well. But what I mean by temporal is not the same as purgatory, that the one they are talking about. That one they are talking about, you die even before this heaven, there is a place for purification. That's what they are talking about. But this one is heaven. Maybe I just use the word temporal because the hell that is existing now is going to be put in what they call the ocean of fire, the lake of fire they call it, the lake of fire. So it's the lake of fire. The heaven that is temporal now is going to be put in the lake of fire. Why there will be a new heaven and a new earth where men will be able to operate and rule with God and with Christ.
It was Christopher Hitchens, one of the famous atheists.
Yes, I know him. I've written a book to challenge him, but it's not yet published yet. It will be published soon.
Okay, he died already. I read one of the first paragraph of his book. He said that humans.
He died of cancer, by the way. Yeah, you didn't know that?
Oh.
Yeah, he died of cancer.
Okay. So there's this paragraph he wrote about, I don't have it to quote it, but he wrote about a man in desert, somewhere in the Sahara. So he said he thought about the scorching sun, the thirst that you follow, the cruelty of nature, talking about earthquakes, talking about tornadoes, accidents, sicknesses, cancer, so many virulent diseases that suppress human being, unhappiness, marital violence, and traumatism. You get a lot of trouble in this life. In short, the world is a failed experiment to him. That this world, that the God who created it actually is a failed experiment. And that if this God who created this world and is a failed experiment, how guaranteed, how sure are you that the next world that is promising you will not be another failed experiment? And that secondly, humans, is because of this suffering that they have on earth, is because of this unpleasant life, that life is unfair to them as they think. And that's why they yearn for a utopian society. A utopian society where there is no crime, where there is no death, where there is nothing. And it's for that reason that humans developed the idea of a heaven, of a God. So while you were explaining this about going and coming and then coming back, the picture of the New Jerusalem was in my mind. And at the same time, I was listening to what he said, which is somehow...
I know what he said. And what he said is just, for me, is nothing more than a ranting of an ignorant person. Because even what I've just already discussed with you earlier on, using the theory of dialectics and evolution and the process of seed becoming tree and going from worse condition to better condition, germination and all that. And it's already a proof to us that even life itself is made like that. So the death of man also would follow the same process. And many atheists agree with that evolution theory. And he too agrees, but he doesn't connect it with man.
Okay. So we're getting closer to our time. I see many people are really...
Yeah, a lot of questions here. Somebody said, correct me, do you mean that the hellfire will definitely come to an end? Or the hellfire is not an eternity for sinner? It is an eternity for sinner, and it will not come to an end. It continues when it's thrown into lake of fire, because lake of fire is much more fierce and bigger than hell. So hell is going to be small compared to, it's going to be join together with lake of fire. It's going to be consumed by lake of fire. So hell is small compared to lake of fire. So lake of fire is much more bigger than hell. So it's continuing, but it's much more bigger.
So one of the members asked a question the last time to know if God actually changes his mind, and you said no. We gave some explanation about
it changes his decisions, but not his mind.
Not his mind, okay. So there is this scripture from Isaiah 45. For those who have scripture, you can consult it to correct us if it's wrongly quoted. The person said, Isaiah 45:7.
Yes.
He said, I formed the light, and I created darkness.
Yes.
I make peace and create evil.
Yes.
I, the Lord, do all these things.
Yes.
So this person is now wondering that if they want to understand which context, because Isaiah has been inspired here, he's been given a revelation by God to write this, that God actually say he made peace and created evil.
Yes.
Say, I, the Lord, do all these things. So we want to understand, because you said in the last interview that all the evils we're seeing on earth is being created by men.
Yes.
It's our responsibility, but here it is in record that.
Yes.
So how can you comment on that?
Oh yeah, it's very easy. Because what is written there that you just wrote now doesn't say God causes evil. It said he created. He creates. He used the word create.
Okay.
Because God is the creator of everything. And the source of evil is Lucifer. The source of evil is Lucifer. And God created him. But when God created him, he was not evil. He became evil. So God created everything. Satan didn't create anything. So that's what that place is talking about. So
if God knew that Satan would become evil, why didn't he prevent it?
What happened with Lucifer is also similar to the question that I gave you, the question of willpower that I explained to you the other time. If God is supposed to prevent anything evil or bad, then a person or an angel or a human being without willpower is only one-dimensional. And if you are deprived of willpower, then God is not love. God is a dictator and a tyrant. And he's not a tyrant and he's not a dictator. So that's why he must make sure that there is an opportunity for even his creation to disagree with him. Even if it's not good for him. But he still must make you a free agent.
Okay. So we have somebody here says Deuteronomy 13. Chapter 13, verse 6 to 16, he said, if your very own brother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife you love, or your closest friend, secretly entice you, saying, let us go and worship other gods, gods that neither you nor your ancestors have known, gods of the people around you, whether near or far, from one end of the land to the other, do not yield to them or listen to them. Show them no pity. Do not spare them or shield them. You must certainly put them to death. your hand must be the first in putting them to death, and then the hands of all the people stone them to death because they tried to turn you away from the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. Then Deuteronomy 13, 12 to 15 says again, if you hear it said about one of the towns the Lord your God is giving you to live in, that troublemaker have arisen among you and have led the people of their town astray, saying, let us go and worship other gods, gods you have not known, then you must inquire, probe, and investigate it thoroughly. And if it is true and it has been proved that this detestable thing has been done among you, you must certainly put to the sword all who live in that town. You must destroy it completely, both its people and its livestock. So this individual is saying, okay, that forget about the New Testament that God gave us grace, forget about any other things, that how could God inspire such a scripture? That's what this person wants to understand.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've explained a little bit of that in the beginning when we won our first episode or second episode. But let me explain this particular scripture. God takes decisions not just because of the way it sounds today, but it takes it in picture of reality, of eternity. Okay, for example, we Christians believe, and God does believe the same thing because He's God. He's the one who knows the order more than we do. We only know a little, but God knows the finality of it. Now, the thing that is being spoke about there is, if somebody else will come and entice you to follow another God, apart from the Lord your God, who has revealed Himself to you, and is leading you, who led you out of the land of Egypt, that don't follow them, but instead, if you follow them, it's better for you, it's better for you to kill that temptation or those people who are the cause of that temptation. Even if it's a whole city or a whole people, it's better to destroy them, kill them. This is talking about Israel, and this is talking about children of Israel. So he's saying, kill that city, that village, that town, all these children of Israel who are about to follow another God. Are we in the same? Are you following?
Yes.
Yes. So God is saying, kill all these people who are about to leave the Lord their God and follow another God. Now, why is that essential? And why is that not cruelty but mercy and love? I see that passage you just read as a manifestation of God's love. Not cruelty, but love. And I will explain to you why and how. The reason is because God knows the end and from the beginning, and He knows the end and the beginning. He knows that people who knowingly walk away from their God like that and forsake their God and turn their back on their God, they will die twice. And the second death is going to be eternal separation from God, which is going to be in hell and maybe in the lake of fire. And God knows that instead of them to be allowed to take that decision right now that will ruin them eternally, it is better for them to die right now physically, losing therefore the next maybe 50 years of life on the earth, temporary life. It's better for them to lose temporary life so that they might live eternally and not die the second death. So it is a matter of God taking decision for Israel and telling Israelis that it is better for them to not live now as a result of love so that they will live for eternity. So that might not make sense to a lot of people, but that kind of thing is also in the New Testament. Because in the New Testament also, the Bible says, because there was a situation in the book of Corinthians whereby a man was, there were people in the church who were sleeping with their, stepmothers and, committing all kind of immorality, maybe with their mothers even. And God said, reject those people. Take them away from among you. Take them away from among you. And give them even to Satan. Give them up to Satan. For Satan to torture them. Now, in the Old Testament, it was death. But in the New Testament, he said, give them up to Satan for Satan to torture them. So that the death they are suffering in the flesh, or the suffering that they are going through in the flesh, there might be death in the flesh. Eventually, Satan could kill them, but they will at least be with God eternally. Now, somebody is saying, but that is wicked, Pastor Sunday. All right, let's talk about it. Look, let's say myself now. I will take that choice. I personally will take that choice for myself. If I am going to live for the next 50 years, I'm 50 now, and I have opportunity to live for the next 50 years, and in the next 10 years or 20 years, I am going to misbehave and do something that will cost me heaven, or that will make me to backslide and turn my back at God and lose heaven, I would rather prefer to lose that 50 years that is ahead of me. Not to live that 50 years. I would rather tell God, please, take me home to heaven where I belong, where I will live for another trillions of years. But let me rather forfeit this next 10, 50 years that is here. I would rather forfeit the 50 years to inherit the 1,000 years, I mean not 1,000, 1 billion, 1 trillion years, than enjoy the 20 years that is not even guaranteed that I'm going to enjoy anyway. It's going to be in sorrow and difficulty and all kinds of challenges. So I would rather forfeit that 50 years to gain eternity than to go through the 50 years of suffering anyway, and I will still die at the end of that 50 years. So it is a matter of when to die. Am I dying right now or in 50 years' time? But I will still die. So, but I would rather gain life eternally than what is the difference? Either I die at 50 or I die at 90 or 100. I will still die. But I would rather gain eternal life rather than, to gain a few years here and lose eternal life.
I'm actually wowed because I can't wrap my head around it. How God choose such medium to grant mercy to people is really, really tough to understand for normal humans. I personally, if I were one of those villages that were misbehaving and not serving the Christian God or the Jewish God, and then I see them coming to kill me, it would be very unfortunate for me. I would think that their God is a very wicked one. So it's not really, really easy for one to fathom such understanding.
But the same thing is happening with people who are not Christians today. That thing, you are seeing wickedness, right? But I will tell you even greater wickedness. Do you know there is abortion right now in the world? You are telling me of villages that lived 10,000 years ago, 5,000 years, not 10,000, 5,000 years ago, that you don't even know them. But you that is trying to be humanity, that try to be kind and loving and sympathetic and empathic. But that is hypocrisy. And this hypocrisy is not just on your side, but it's on the side of every atheist. There are a lot of people who are writing also now, but that is wicked. The Pastor Sunday, how can you believe that? But these same atheists, they believe in abortion. They believe in giving people the right for abortion. And in the case of abortion, it is just because it's going to be an inconvenience, a temporary inconvenience to an individual. Not even God. There is no reward, no guarantee. That mother that is taking the decision to do abortion and to kill the baby in her womb and says she has a choice, she is not even giving anything in replacement, in exchange to that child. Unlike God, God is giving you eternity in exchange to the 50 years that you lose here. But the people who believe in abortion, you know how many abortions are being done every year? We have abortions taking place in the millions all over the world. And these same secular people, these same atheists, these same agnostics that are saying God is wicked, they sanction abortion. And abortion is not just some villages somewhere, you know, some place you don't know. We are talking about real human beings today who could be born tomorrow and look just like me. And we are sanctioning their death. And yet we are saying that we are humanitarians and that we have pity on people we don't know, people that God allowed to be killed thousands of years back. Whereas you are allowing other people to be killed. In America alone, 50 million people have been aborted. 50 million people is much more greater than the number of all the people put together that were killed in the Bible altogether. All the people that were killed in the Bible altogether is less than 1 million. But today, millions are being killed today at the watch of the atheists and the agnostics and the so-called humanitarians.
I don't think that's a very concrete claim.
Very concrete claim. Very concrete claim. Real life, people are dying every day out of abortion.
I know atheists who call themselves humanism who are fighting against this abortion.
Yeah,
they are really fighting. But they don't believe it.
But the people who fought for it, but the people who fought for abortion are also atheists.
Possibly.
And they are the ones who are, yes.
Some atheists.
Yes.
Subscribe to it.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't subscribe to it, they fought for it.
The bottom of the contention here is, of course, if abortion goes on today, doesn't justify the killing that happened in the past.
No, it doesn't justify the killing, but the killing that happened in the past made sense because it's giving an alternative and a greater reward. But the abortions that are happening today doesn't give anything, it's just cruelty.
Yeah, because there are cases where they cite certain examples of women that are raped, they are traumatized psychologically, and there's another theory.
You can't believe it, Innocent. We are 20 minutes to the next program, and because I have a new team now, this new team, they need to get used to how to establish this new something, because, you know, Mayowa and Julie have traveled, so they need more time. So let's continue, if you don't mind, let's continue the conversation next time.
All right, okay. Thank you, everyone.
No, before you go, let me tell them about my books here. I have my biography. People who want to know about me. It's called Olorunwa. Then we have this book here for people who want to regain their lost years, how to regain your lost years. Then that's one of my then how to live an effective life. How to live, while we are still here, how to live an effective life. Nigeria and the leadership question for people who want to influence their nations. Then how to make Nigeria the greatest country in the world. How the Nigerian economy can overtake the American economy. How to transform and build a civilized nation. The veritable source of energy. Why you must urgently become a workaholic. So these are some of the books, and the way to get them is to go and you can go and read all these books for free on Amazon Kindle. If you are on Amazon Kindle Unlimited, how to overcome the fear of death as well. So these books are available on Amazon Unlimited for free, or you could write to or you could buy them on Amazon. But if you feel they are too expensive on Amazon, you could write to my office, dssbooks@gmail.com. dssbooks@gmail.com. You can get the list or you could go to my blog, sundayadelajablog.com/books. So thank you so much.
Thank you. So see you.
Yeah, see you in 15 minutes now. In the next 15 minutes.
All right. Okay.
God bless.
Thanks, Steve.
Bye.
God bless. Bye.
Yeah.